Once Human just got a brand new update as well as some patch notes. I'm also going to go over the entire explanation of the new servers, which to pick and why. We'll go over all the details including hard and normal decision, as well as the differences between void balance and phase and coherence. Additionally, the differences between PvP and the PvE scenarios. We got a ton to talk about. What's up world, it's Utopia back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. So first up, quickly, I will go through the patch notes, the hotfix, and then we'll jump into the server stuff. I'll go over these very briefly because I know we want to get onto the server things and what's happening there. For the August 15th patch, a lot of it was just bug fixes, whether it was teleportation, solar drill, microphone issues. So I'll just go over some of the major ones and combine a few. This one including here where they fixed attributes on calibrations where they were not displayed correctly or not visible in crates. Another one here where characters weren't able to use items or couldn't use any consumables or even reload after an abnormal exit from the wilderness event. Another major one here was with these server invitation codes that couldn't be used. Players can now invite to full servers using that server invitation code that we went over in our last video. And again, just several other bug fixes here. For the August 16th patch, they optimized the tip for spending star crumbs when pulling from the wishing machine. And I do believe it's at the bottom here where it says hit and spend 500 of your star crumb. That is a little new tooltip there. It also looks like the llama's got a bit of a graphical upgrade, although I might be incorrect on that, but they do look a bit clearer. They fixed several issues here with the door frame cosmetic, it not being able to snap in place with glass doors. After the patch, the door frame wall cosmetic can now only be applied to a door frame wall, and full cosmetics can only be applied to the full wall structures. If you did apply that previously, that will be converted into corresponding full wall cosmetic after the patch. Although it still does feel like the texting prompt could be extended just a little bit farther for the door. They fixed several display issues with modules being carried over the next season. They fixed a display issue with the Lightforge collection and items with that. And several other issues with the duplicate Lightforge items obtained from Lightforge loot crates, which weren't automatically being converted into the Lightforge relics. So several issues with the store there that were fixed, and hopefully people do get the compensation for that. Let's get on to the real stuff. We'll jump into these server things. What is happening there? All the different confusion with that. So first up, let's just talk about how to sign up for the servers. So you can do this from the main menu, or you can do this within the game. If you want to do this from in-game, you can hit the exit button and then head into phase 6 section. That is again if your character is currently in phase 6. So if you wanted to go to a new server and your server isn't in phase 6 yet, you'll probably need to do that later on or create an entirely new character. There are servers launching on different dates, and I will go over that as well. I'm going to use the PvP section here as an example. Again, once you're in this sign up section for whatever you want, PvP versus PvE, which to note there, we aren't having any changes with this one. That's only coming in the September update. So if you're waiting for any changes, that's not going to be happening with the August season, at least as far as I'm aware. That's only happening in September. I'm guessing that's probably going to be mid-September-ish, where we will be getting those PvP event changes. So for right now, everything is going to be the exact same as this current season, same map, just a few changes there. Again, we will go over that. So using PvP as an example here. First up, we have normal difficulty versus the hard difficulty. So just starting off, normal difficulty is no longer going to be in the novice section for the servers. It obviously says here basic survival difficulty suitable for most players. That's the same for the combat environment. I do believe this is going to be the exact same as the novice servers. It doesn't seem like we're going to get any difference there or any significance on that. It might be slightly more difficult than the novice servers, but it seems like this is going to be more toned back compared to hard difficulty. Now, if we look at a hard mode difficulty server, there are several changes here. So first up, for the survival challenges, pollution zones in the wilderness will cover a large area and have significantly increased contamination. If you don't know, obviously that's when you get contaminated on your backpack. That will display a certain number. That will be increased there, so you are going to take more damage to your health bar. And you're going to have to build up your pollution resistance if you want to be able to negate that. Otherwise, more than likely, a significant portion of your health bar is going to be depleted. Even with a full set here of upgraded T5 gear, you're more than likely going to need to use food. Which there are foods like this one, the Fruity Sanity Capsule, which does give you a 20% resistance to pollution. And then you can also have thematic things like this kitchen set that will give the plus 30% to its base effect. And also Chefsaurus should help a bit there with that. So things like that are going to be super utilized in the new server if you do plan to pick a hard mode server. And with these hard mode servers, planting is going to be super utilized, as we'll go over additional things there with that. Which leads me next up here to hydration and energy being depleted twice as quickly, and the effects of full energy and hydration will last for a shorter time. Again, you can extend that out with the kitchen set. For the hard servers, that's going to be probably a 100% pick rate. At least I would assume so, unless you have a dedicated crew member or guildie to do that for you. Or you can always purchase that from somebody to have them make that inside your base. Now the combat environment section here, they said Deviants' stats, awareness, movement speed, and attack frequency are increased. If you didn't know, Deviants are essentially the enemies within the game. Although great ones I don't believe are considered Deviants anymore, so we'll have to see if that means bosses too. But this is just going to make enemies in general harder. They also mentioned here that in the territory purification game mode, the types of deviants attacking the territory will change and will be increased in difficulty. Although purification is fairly easy already, so that will be kind of cool to see how much that does change. Jumping over to the next section here, we do have increased rewards for the hard difficulty. The Starcrom rewards for completing seasonal goals will be increased by 20%, and the amount of Starcrom obtained from purifying Eclipse Cortexes and Chaotic Cortexes is increased. So that includes the purification stuff will also be increased. This will help you obtain more blueprints and kind of domino effect there, seemingly for the next servers. So it might be more than likely worth to just pick a hard server based on the rewards there. Although it seems like there's only going to be one hard mode server per region and per PvP and PvE selection. At least for NA, it looks like PvP only has one hard mode server. For PvE as well, only one hard mode server. And I've heard this is the same case for EU. Jumping over, we'll go into the effect stuff. What does it matter there? What are the changes and all that stuff there? So first up, we have 4 different effects. There's 2 that will apply to each server. So the first 2 here are under Void and Balance. This does apply to both the hard mode servers. So in either case, even if you pick PvP hard mode or PvE hard mode, you're only going to have the option of Void and Balance. What do those do? Well, they say here, Void Deviants start with a shield that grants them immunity to most damage effects. The countermeasures here specifically will be Power Surge and Unstable Bomber, and the Cradle Override will be Anti-Void. For the balance section here, Deviants will recover HP over time after taking damage, and again, they have a countermeasure here that you can use in your Cradle called Anti-Balance, where obviously the damage over time effects like Burn and Frost Vortex will prevent that. So again, both of those are going to have countermeasures where you can apply stuff in your Cradle, like Anti-Void and the Anti-Balance, where you can also then use Unstable Bomber, Power Surge to prevent Void stuff or do damage to their shield effects. So more than likely you're going to need 2 weapon variants here. The first one to take down an enemy's shield, and the second one to apply Burn or Vortex damage. That way enemies cannot regenerate health over time. Those are the anti-measures there. Again, more than likely you're going to either need both the Cradle Override or 2 weapon variants there. That is just for the Super Anomaly, Void, and Balance. Now there's also some additional countermeasures here. Shotguns and rifles will counter Super Anomaly Void. So this will also help against shields. So if you want the double whammy here, you're going to want a shotgun or a rifle with either Power Surge or Unstable Bomber. Next up, for the HP override or the balance override, sniper rifles and pistols will be the countermeasure there. So again, you're going to want a sniper rifle or a pistol, more than likely with burn or vortex damage if you can find that. Which is a bit odd there because the most popular pistol is Jaws, which actually has Unstable Bomber. That doesn't actually apply to the countermeasure there of balance. But seemingly this might be one of the strongest weapons to use, as it does kind of apply both things there. It's going to help with shields, and it's also going to be a countermeasure toward the balance mode. For the Wishing Machine, again, the most popular weapon is going to be Jaws here in this specific phase. We'll unlock prize pools containing the weapon blueprint Jaws. And for the armor, that's going to be the Shaman Vulture top. So if you didn't spend a lot of your Starcrom there, it might be best to save it for this next season, as that's going to be the primary focus of the prize pools is the Jaws weapon. I'm assuming that's going to be in the first section of the Starcrom. So if you haven't already bought Jaws, I would stay away from that until, or at least save your Starcrom for next season, as it might be a lot easier to get, as well as the Shaman Vulture top, which is going to be really helpful for Unstable Bomber. Now they also with that have a new calibration blueprint, which is Frugal Style. This suits both pistols and sniper rifles, allowing for ammo replenishment from missed shots, obtained by dismantling, again, dropped gear or defeating super anomalies. So that's kind of nice there. If you do defeat super anomalies, you'll be able to get that calibration blueprint. Seems like it'll be a pretty decent one, especially for PvP. that does cover it for the changes with the void balance mode. And again, if you want to go hard mode for both PvE and PvP, this is the selection. So you will have to take void balance. There is no other option there. However, if you want to play a normal server, PvP or PvE, you will have this other option here called phase/coherence. Now for phase, the deviants will have high damage reduction. Again, a cradle countermeasure here is going to be anti-phase. For the damage abilities, you can pick a shrapnel weapon or damage while in the fortress warfare state. Next up, super anomaly coherence. This one's a bit different here. Coherence deviants carry a coherence device. While the device is intact, coherence deviants are invincible, so they literally cannot take damage. For the countermeasures there, the cradle override, anti-coherence, again another cradle thing. Bounce damage will remove that, as well as being in the fast gunner damage state. So these new seasonal structures are really hitting on the 2-weapon kind of build there, making sure you utilize both weapons in both damage states, or at least when one stage procs the other. So obviously this one here, if a deviant is in an invincible state, you should be using either fast gunner or bounce, as well as the anti-cradle measure. And then if it does come out of that state, or you can pull it out of that state, you can then swap to your high damage reduction weapon, or at least what has a countermeasure against high damage reduction, like the shrapnel or the fortress warfare. So weapon swapping is definitely going to be on this list. Now again, they point out here the weapons that are mostly tied to this. For the first one here of phase, SMGs and sniper rifle will be their countermeasure, and then for coherence, pistols and crossbows will be that countermeasure there. Now the wishing machine will also have something different on these servers. The first one here is the MG4 or the LMG, and for the gear piece, that's going to be the Oasis mask, which ties into the fast gunner effect. Although I will say this one is a little bit odd since there is no LMG in the category here for the countermeasure. I would have figured that would have been the countermeasure for the phase or even the coherence, but it doesn't align there exactly like it does with the other one, Jaws and a pistol, so this one is a bit different. For the calibration blueprints, this is going to be boost style, which suits both pistols and shotguns, and it can increase the keyword trigger chance through reloading. What they mean by keyword is essentially whatever the effect is on that weapon will be increased. So like shrapnel or bounce, those damage abilities are going to be increased, or their effects are going to be increased. And again, obtainable through disassembling dropped gear or defeated super anomalies. That should cover it for both the PvP, PvE, as well as hard modes and the different elemental effects that these servers will have. However, we got to talk about some of the stuff when the servers are actually dropping. So these are coming out super soon, at least several of them. So the sign up here where it says sign up requirements when the season ends or reaches its final phase, which again, if you are on a server that's in phase 6, that is considered the final phase, you can then sign up for a new server. It says here you can join the new server when the scenario countdown ends. Now, one thing here that's a little bit convoluted. For my server specifically, the countdown timer says 9 hours and 15 minutes as of recording the audio for this video. So that's actually at 10 p.m. for me, CST. Now this is 11 p.m. EST and 9 p.m. PST, although again, this could be different depending on your server. The thing that's convoluted here is it says 8/18, which to me, this is only the 17th when this does end. So I'm wondering if there's a bit of confusion there or if it's 24 hours after this. But this does say here you can join a new server when the scenario countdown ends. And at the bottom here it says unable to leave the server until the countdown is complete. So my thing is, this actually might be coming out tonight, 8/17 in 9 hours, more than likely so. And more than likely why it says 8/18 is because of the time zone in other regions. So this is actually 8/17 for some players. So if you are in the NA region, I would assume that everything is a day before. Not all servers are launching on 8/18 or 8/17 for NA. This one here, like PvP 04, is launching on 8/19, or again, more than likely going to be 8/18. And then my PvP 05, this one says 8/21, again, more than likely 8/20. So make sure you're checking that countdown timer, as that's probably the more accurate time and date. Just trying to make that clear, as there's a little bit of a confusion there. Also, just going off my server, if you want to know, I'm probably going to be trying PvP again, just giving it one more chance, and I am going to be trying the hard mode server. So I am going to be signing up here for PvP 03. And just to note here, if you do accidentally click on a server or you signed up for one already, you can actually unregister on the top right here. That will make you go back and you can re-sign up for a different server, just in case you made a bit of an error there or need a correction. Overall, it should about cover for today's video. Was a bit complex there, but I hope I got it all down. If you enjoyed today's video, like, subscribe, and until the next one, deuces!